The text came at 7:23 p.m, just as I was putting the finishing touches on the anniversary dinner I'd spent 3 hours preparing. Babe, stuck in traffic. Major accident on the highway. Will be at least an hour late. So sorry. Save me some of that amazing pasta you're making. I stared at the message, my heart sinking. Our third anniversary. The candles I'd lit were already halfway burned down, casting dancing shadows across the dining room table I'd set with our good china. The set his mother had given us when we moved in together. It's okay, I whispered to myself, the same words I'd been saying for months now. He can't help traffic. But something felt different tonight. Maybe it was the way he'd been distant lately, working late more often, taking calls in the other room. Or maybe it was how he'd forgotten to kiss me goodbye this morning, something he'd never done before. I blew out the candles and covered the food with foil, then settled onto the couch with a glass of wine. The apartment felt too quiet, too empty. Through the window, I could see the city lights twinkling, and somewhere out there, my boyfriend Marcus was supposedly sitting in gridlock traffic. That's when my phone buzzed with a notification from Instagram. Jessica Chen had posted a new story. Jessica, his colleague from the marketing department, the one with the perfect smile and designer clothes who always seemed to find reasons to text him about work emergencies on weekends. My finger hovered over the notification. I shouldn't look. I trusted Marcus. We'd been together 3 years, lived together for 2. He'd told me he loved me just this morning, sleepily mumbling it into my hair as his alarm went off. But I clicked anyway. The story loaded and my world tilted. There was Marcus, very much not stuck in traffic. He was sitting across from Jessica at Luminous, the upscale French restaurant downtown that we'd talked about going to for months, but never could because it was too expensive. His tie was loosened, sleeves rolled up, and he was laughing at something she was saying. Really laughing, the way he used to laugh with me. On the table between them were 2 wine glasses and what looked like the restaurant's famous chocolate soufflé. I screenshot the image before it could disappear, my hand shaking. 7:34 p.m. The timestamp showed it was posted 11 minutes ago. My carefully constructed world began to crumble, piece by piece, like the pasta I'd left cooling in the kitchen, beautiful when fresh, but growing cold and unappetizing with each passing moment. I called him. It went straight to voicemail. Hey, this is Marcus. Leave a message and I'll get back to you soon. The same cheerful recording he'd had for 2 years. How many times had other women heard that voice? How many lies had he told while I waited at home, believing every single one? I poured myself another glass of wine, larger this time, and tried to think rationally. Maybe it was work. Maybe Jessica had posted an old photo. Maybe there was an explanation that would make everything okay again. But even as I told myself these things, I knew. The way you know when you're about to get fired or when someone's about to break up with you. There's a shift in the air, a change in the way people look at you. Or, in this case, the way they don't. My phone buzzed again. Marcus finally calling back. Hey, babe. His voice was slightly breathless. Sorry, my phone died. Still stuck here. But it's starting to move now. Should be home in about 45 minutes. Where are you exactly? I asked, surprised by how steady my own voice sounded. Highway 95. Just past the Brookfield exit. There was a 3-car pileup. It's been a nightmare. Highway 95, the complete opposite direction from Luminous Restaurant. Okay, I said. Drive safe. I will. Love you. Love you too. I hung up and immediately opened my laptop, pulling up the traffic reports for Highway 95. Clear roads, no accidents, no delays. Then I checked Luminous Restaurant's Instagram account. They'd posted a story too. Busy Tuesday night, thanks to all our wonderful guests. In the background of their photo, barely visible but unmistakably there, was Marcus and Jessica's table. I sat in the dark for a long time, the food growing cold in the kitchen, the wine growing warm in my glass. 3 years. 3 years of anniversaries and birthdays, of fights and makeups, of talking about marriage and kids, and the house we'd buy someday with a big backyard for the dog we'd adopt. 3 years of lies? Or maybe just the recent ones. Maybe he'd been faithful for 2.5 years and something had changed. Maybe Jessica had pursued him. Maybe he was confused. Maybe it was just dinner. Maybe... Stop. I had to stop making excuses for him. I needed proof. Real proof. Because a restaurant sighting, even with the lies about traffic, wasn't enough to throw away 3 years. Was it? My laptop was still open. I found myself typing in Marcus's email address, something I'd done hundreds of times to send him funny articles or dinner plans. But this time, I clicked on Forgot Password. His password recovery email would come to his work account, which I also knew. He'd given me all his passwords months ago, back when we still shared everything. I don't want any secrets between us, he'd said. Ironic. The reset email came through within minutes. I changed his password, my heart hammering as I logged into his personal account. What I found there changed everything. Dozens of emails from Jessica dating back 6 weeks. Not work emails, personal ones, intimate ones. Can't stop thinking about last night. When can we see each other again? I know this is complicated, but I can't help how I feel about you. She doesn't understand you the way I do. And Marcus's replies, each one a knife to my chest. I know we have to be careful. Give me some time to figure things out. Meeting you was the best thing that's happened to me in years. I think I'm falling in love with you, too. He told her he loved her too. The most recent email was from this afternoon. Can't wait for tonight. I made reservations at Luminous for 7 p.m. Time to celebrate us finally being together. Jay. His response, sent at 6:45 p.m. On my way. I told her I was stuck in traffic. We have at least 2 hours. I closed the laptop and walked to the bathroom, where I threw up everything I'd eaten that day. When I was done, I sat on the bathroom floor and cried. Not pretty crying. Ugly, gut-wrenching sobs that echoed off the tiles. The kind of crying that comes from having your entire life upended in the span of an hour. After 20 minutes, I was empty, hollow, but also strangely clear-headed. I knew exactly what I was going to do. First, I forwarded all the emails to my own account. Then, I screenshotted Jessica's Instagram story. Evidence, in case I needed it later. Then, I went to the kitchen and put the pasta in the refrigerator. No point in letting food go to waste. I changed out of the dress I'd worn for our anniversary dinner. The red one he'd bought me for my birthday. The one he said made me look stunning. I put on jeans and a sweater instead. Then I sat down to wait. He came home at 9:17 p.m, exactly when he'd promised. I was sitting in the living room reading a book by lamplight, the picture of domestic tranquility. Hey babe, he said, leaning down to kiss my forehead. Sorry about dinner. Traffic was insane. He smelled like expensive wine and Jessica's perfume. That's okay, I said, not looking up from my book. I saved you a plate. You're amazing. I'm so lucky to have you. He disappeared into the bedroom to change, and I heard him turn on the shower. Washing off the evidence, probably. When he came back out, I was heating up his dinner. Smells incredible, he said, sitting down at the kitchen table. What did I do to deserve you? I set the plate in front of him and sat down across the table, watching him eat the food I'd made with love while he'd been planning his betrayal. How was work today? I asked conversationally. Oh, same old stuff. Had a late meeting with the Johnson account. Jessica was there too. We're working on their campaign together. Another lie, delivered so smoothly I almost believed it myself. That's nice, I said. Jessica seems sweet. Yeah, she's a good colleague. Very professional. Professional? Right. He finished eating and helped me clean up, chatting about weekend plans and a movie he wanted to see. Normal boyfriend behaviour. If I hadn't seen the emails, hadn't seen the photo, I would never have suspected anything. How long had he been this good at lying? Later, as we got ready for bed, he was unusually affectionate, kissing my neck as I brushed my teeth, pulling me close as we settled under the covers. I love you, he whispered into the darkness. I love you too, I whispered back. Both lies now. Or maybe his was true in whatever twisted way he could justify loving 2 women at once. But mine was already becoming past tense. I loved you? I had loved you. I thought I would always love you, but love can't survive in the soil of betrayal. As Marcus fell asleep beside me, his breathing evening out into the familiar rhythm I'd fallen asleep to for 2 years. I lay awake planning my next move, because I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. I wasn't going to scream or cry or beg for an explanation. I'd done my crying on the bathroom floor. Instead, I was going to be smart about this. Strategic. If Marcus thought he could lie to me, manipulate me, make me the fool while he played house with Jessica, he was about to learn exactly who he'd been underestimating. I'd spent 3 years being the perfect girlfriend, the understanding partner, the woman who always said, "It's okay," when plans fell through or when he worked late or when he forgot important dates. But that woman died tonight, somewhere between the cold pasta and the devastating emails. Tomorrow, a new version of me would wake up, and Marcus had no idea what was coming. I woke up before Marcus, which was unusual. I was normally a heavy sleeper, but my mind had been churning all night, plotting and planning, while he slept peacefully beside me. He looked so innocent in sleep, his dark hair messy, lips slightly parted, the same face I'd kissed goodbye 1,000 mornings. It was surreal. Knowing what I knew now, seeing him lying there so vulnerable and unaware, I slipped out of bed carefully and made coffee, then sat at my laptop while he showered. I had work to do. First, I created a new email account using a variation of my name he'd never think to check. Then, I forwarded all the evidence there, plus everything else I could find. Credit card statements, bank records, anything that showed a pattern of lies. Because now that I was looking, really looking, I could see them everywhere. The charge at Luminous from 3 weeks ago that he'd claimed was a client dinner. The weekend work conference that had never appeared on his company's website. The sudden interest in going to the gym, which I now realised coincided with Jessica's membership at the same fitness centre. How could I have been so blind? "Morning, beautiful," Marcus said, appearing in the kitchen with wet hair and a towel around his waist. "Coffee smells amazing." "Morning," I said, closing my laptop. "Sleep well?" "Like a baby. Thanks for being so understanding about last night. I know how much work you put into dinner." I smiled, the expression feeling foreign on my face. That's what partners do for each other. Partners? What a joke. He kissed my cheek and went to get dressed for work. I heard him humming in the bedroom. Actually humming, like a man without a care in the world. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Sarah. "Coffee this morning? I have news?" Perfect. I needed to talk to someone, and Sarah had always been good at giving me perspective. "Yes, meet you at Cafe Luna in an hour?" "See you there." I showered and dressed carefully, choosing an outfit that made me feel powerful. My black blazer, dark jeans, the boots that added 3 inches to my height. If I was going to start rebuilding myself, I might as well look the part. Marcus was in the kitchen when I came out, scrolling through his phone with a small smile on his face. Texting Jessica, probably. "I'm meeting Sarah for coffee," I said. "Oh, okay. I might work late again tonight. We're trying to close the Johnson deal this week." More lies. So many lies I wondered if he even remembered what the truth looked like anymore. "No problem. I'll probably grab dinner with Sarah anyway." He looked up then, surprised. I never made evening plans without checking with him first. "Oh, okay. Have fun." I kissed him goodbye, the same peck on the lips we'd shared every morning for 2 years. Muscle memory. But as I walked to my car, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Freedom. Sarah was already at our usual table when I arrived, practically bouncing in her seat with excitement. "Okay, you have to guess," she said before I'd even sat down. 3 guesses what my news is." I ordered a coffee and studied my best friend's face. Sarah was glowing in a way I hadn't seen since... "Oh, you're pregnant," I said. Her face fell slightly. "How did you know? Was it that obvious? You're practically radiating joy. And you ordered herbal tea instead of your usual triple shot espresso. Damn, I thought I was being subtle." She grinned. 8 weeks. We just got the ultrasound yesterday. David is over the moon." I felt a stab of something. Not jealousy exactly, but a deep sadness for the future I'd been planning that would never happen now. "That's wonderful, Sarah. I'm so happy for you." And I was. Sarah and David had been trying for a year, and they were going to be amazing parents. Thanks. We're not telling people yet, but I had to tell someone or I was going to explode. She paused, studying my face. "Are you okay? You look tired?" Devastated. Trust Sarah to see right through me. I took a sip of my coffee, buying time. Then, before I could stop myself, everything came tumbling out. The anniversary dinner, the Instagram story, the emails, the lies upon lies upon lies. Sarah listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with every detail. "That bastard," she said when I finished. "That absolute piece of shit." "Sarah? No, I am serious. 3 years, Emma. 3 years of your life, and he's been carrying on with some office slut for 6 weeks? She's not... I don't know if she knew about me." "Of course she knew about you. You've been together for 3 years. You live together. She knew exactly what she was doing." I'd been trying not to think about Jessica's role in all this, but Sarah was probably right. It was easier to hate Marcus, to focus all my anger on him, but Jessica wasn't innocent either. "So, what are you going to do?" Sarah asked. "I don't know yet. I have some ideas, but I want to be smart about this. If I just confront him, he'll lie and manipulate and probably turn it around on me somehow. Make it my fault for snooping." Sarah leaned forward, her eyes bright with something that looked almost predatory. What kind of ideas? I told her about the evidence I'd gathered, the patterns I'd discovered. Sarah listened with the intense focus she usually reserved for her work as a forensic accountant. "You need more," she said when I finished. "If you want to really expose him, make sure he can't wiggle out of it or make you look crazy, you need undeniable proof." "Like what?" "Photos, video, something that shows them together being intimate, with timestamps and locations. And you need to know how deep this goes. Is it just Jessica, or are there others?" The thought that there might be others hadn't occurred to me, but now it seemed obvious. If he could lie so easily about Jessica, who was to say she was the first? "How would I even—" "Leave that to me," Sarah said grimly. "David's brother is a private investigator. He specializes in cheating spouses. Sarah, I can't ask you to..." "You're not asking, I'm offering. This is what friends do, Emma. We protect each other from lying, cheating assholes who don't deserve the amazing women they're lucky enough to be with." I felt tears threatening again, but this time they were different. Grateful tears. "Thank you," I whispered. "Don't thank me yet. Thank me when we have enough evidence to bury him so deep he'll never be able to hurt another woman the way he's hurt you." We spent another hour planning, and by the time I left the cafe, I felt like a different person. Still hurt, still angry, but no longer helpless. I had a mission now. I spent the rest of the day at work trying to focus on the quarterly reports I needed to finish, but my mind kept wandering. Every email notification made me jump, wondering if it was Sarah with news from the private investigator. At 5:30, Marcus texted, "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up." I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Okay, love you." The lie came so easily now. Maybe I was better at this deception game than I'd thought. Instead of going home to an empty apartment, I drove to Sarah's house. She and David lived in a cozy bungalow with a garden that David was always fussing over, and a kitchen that smelled perpetually of whatever amazing thing Sarah was baking. "Emma," David said when he opened the door. "Sarah told me about your situation. I'm really sorry." "Thanks, David." Sarah appeared behind him, already reaching for her coat. "Ready?" "Ready for what?" "Reconnaissance mission. Marcus is working late, right? Which means he's probably with Jessica. Michael, David's brother, is already on it. But I thought we could do a little investigating of our own." I should have said no. Should have gone home and tried to act normal, maintain the facade while the professionals gathered evidence. But I was tired of being passive, tired of being lied to, tired of sitting in the dark while Marcus lived his double life. "Let's go," I said. We drove to Luminous first, but they weren't there. Then Sarah pulled up Jessica's Instagram account. Apparently she was the type who posted her location constantly, and we followed her digital breadcrumbs to a wine bar across town. "There," Sarah said, pointing through the window. They were at a corner table, partially hidden by a decorative screen, but definitely them. Marcus had his hand over Jessica's on the table, and she was leaning in close, saying something that made him laugh. They looked happy. comfortable, like a real couple, like how Marcus and I used to look. I'm going to be sick, I said. No, you're not. You're going to be strong and smart, and you're going to make them pay for this. Sarah was already taking photos through the window. Her phone camera zoomed in on their intertwined hands. We should go, I said. If he sees me... He won't. He's too busy gazing into her eyes like a lovesick teenager. But even as she said it, I saw Marcus's head start to turn toward the window. Some instinct, maybe, or just bad luck. Go, 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 I hissed, ducking below the window line. We made it back to the car just as Marcus's gaze swept over where we'd been standing. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it might burst. That was close, Sarah said, but she was grinning. Did you see his face when she whispered in his ear? He's completely smitten. I had seen it. The look he used to give me, especially in the early days. The look that said I was the only woman in the world who mattered. Apparently, that look wasn't as special as I'd thought. We drove home in silence, Sarah occasionally glancing over at me with concern. I felt numb, like all my emotions had been put on ice. Emma? I'm okay, I said automatically. No, you're not, and that's okay too. When we pulled into Sarah's driveway, she turned to face me fully. You know what I realised tonight? What? This isn't just about Marcus cheating. This is about you getting your power back. You've been living your life around his schedule, his needs, his wants for so long that you forgot who you were before him. She was right. I'd been so focused on being the perfect girlfriend that I'd lost myself somewhere along the way. When this is over, Sarah continued, when you've exposed him and moved on, you're going to be stronger than you've ever been, and he's going to realise he lost the best thing that ever happened to him. What if... I started, then stopped. What if what? What if I'm wrong about all this? What if there's an explanation I haven't thought of? Sarah reached over and squeezed my hand. Emma, honey, we just watched your boyfriend of 3 years hold hands with another woman while he lied to you about working late. There's no explanation for that, except the obvious one. She was right, of course, but some small part of me, the part that had loved Marcus for 3 years, that had planned a future with him, was still hoping for a miracle, still hoping this was all some terrible misunderstanding that we'd laugh about someday. But miracles, I was learning, were in short supply. And tomorrow, the real work would begin. Marcus came home at midnight, trying to be quiet as he slipped into bed beside me. I pretended to be asleep, controlling my breathing while he settled in. Sorry, I'm so late, he whispered, pressing a soft kiss to my shoulder. I love you. I kept my eyes closed, my body still, but inside I was screaming. How could he lie so casually? How could he touch me with the same hands that had been touching her just hours before? But I didn't move, didn't speak, didn't give any sign that I was awake, because tomorrow the game would change, and Marcus had no idea what was coming. 3 days later, Sarah's brother-in-law Michael called with news that made my stomach drop. It's worse than you thought, he said without preamble. Jessica isn't the first. I was sitting in my car outside the grocery store, having just finished buying ingredients for Marcus's favourite dinner. A twisted kind of autopilot that I couldn't seem to break. My hands gripped the steering wheel. What do you mean? I've been tracking his movements for 72 hours. Jessica is the current girlfriend, but there are credit card records going back 8 months. Different restaurants, hotels, even jewellery purchases that never made it home to you. 8 months. While I'd been planning our future, he'd been planning his escapes. How many? I whispered. At least 3 that I can confirm. Jessica's just the latest. I closed my eyes, feeling the last of my naive hope crumble to dust. This wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. This was a pattern, a lifestyle. There's more, Michael continued. I followed him to Jessica's apartment last night. They're not just having dinner dates, Emma. He has a key. Of course he did. Of course the man who forgot our anniversary had a key to another woman's apartment. I have photos and video timestamps, but... Emma, what? Jessica posted something this morning. You need to see it. After hanging up, I opened Instagram with shaking fingers. There it was, Jessica's latest post. a photo of her hand wearing a delicate silver bracelet with a small infinity charm. The caption read, "When someone special surprises you with the perfect gift, #blessed, #love, #infinity. I knew that bracelet. I'd admired it in a jewellery store window 3 weeks ago, had even sent Marcus a picture of it with the caption, "Birthday wishlist item." My birthday was next month. He'd bought it for her instead. I sat in the parking lot and cried until my eyes were swollen and my throat was raw. Then I called in sick to work and drove to Sarah's house. "We're done playing defence," Sarah announced when I showed her the bracelet photo. "It's time to go on the attack." David's brother Michael was there too, a thin man with kind eyes and the patient demeanour of someone who'd seen too many broken hearts. "The question is," Michael said, "what do you want the end game to be? Quiet confrontation and breakup? Public exposure? Legal action?" I thought about it. A month ago, I would have chosen quiet confrontation. I would have packed my things and left a note, avoided the drama, tried to preserve whatever dignity I had left. But that woman was gone. "I want him to feel what I felt," I said slowly. "The humiliation, the betrayal, the realization that someone you trusted completely was playing you for a fool." Sarah grinned. "Now you're talking." Michael pulled out a tablet. "I've been documenting everything. We have photos of him with Jessica at 4 different locations over 3 days. Video of him using a key to enter her apartment. Credit card records showing a pattern of deception going back months." He swiped through the evidence. Marcus and Jessica kissing outside her building. Marcus buying flowers at the shop near her office. Marcus leaving her apartment at 6 a.m. on a Wednesday. "But here's the interesting part," Michael continued. "Jessica doesn't know about the others." "Others?" "Rachel Morrison from his gym. Dinner dates twice a week for 3 months before Jessica. And Natalie Kumar from his college alumni group. Weekend getaways that he probably told you were work trips." My head was spinning. "How did you find all this?" "Credit cards don't lie. Hotel records, restaurant reservations, even parking tickets. Your boyfriend's been busy." Sarah leaned forward. "So Jessica thinks she's the only other woman, but she's actually just the latest in a series." "Exactly. And according to her social media, she thinks he's going to leave you for her. She's been posting a lot of patient love wins and good things come to those who wait quotes. The irony was almost funny. Jessica was being played just as much as I was. "Here's what I'm thinking," Sarah said, and I could practically see the wheels turning in her head. "Marcus is juggling multiple women, each thinking they're special. What if they all found out about each other at the same time?" Michael smiled slowly. "A coordinated reveal?" "Exactly. Emma gets her justice, and the other women get the truth they deserve." It was brilliant and terrible and exactly what Marcus deserved. "How?" I asked. Sarah pulled out her laptop. "Social media, the great equalizer." The plan took shape over the next 2 hours. Michael had found contact information for Rachel and Natalie through public records and social media. Sarah crafted the messages, carefully worded to seem like they came from a concerned friend rather than a scorned girlfriend. To Rachel, "Hi, I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I saw your photo with Marcus Williams at the Marriott downtown. I think you should know he's been dating my friend Emma for 3 years. They live together. I thought you'd want to know in case you didn't realise he wasn't single." To Natalie, similar message with specific details about her weekend trips with Marcus and photos Michael had gathered. "What about Jessica?" I asked. "Jessica's different," Sarah said. "She knows about you but thinks she's winning. We need a different approach for her." Michael cleared his throat. "Actually, I have an idea about that. Jessica's been very active on social media lately, posting about patience and true love. What if Emma posted something that made it clear she knows about the affair?" "Like what?" "A photo of the evidence, the emails, the restaurant receipts, the hotel records, but frame it as a warning to other women. Ladies, check your man's credit card statements. You might be surprised what you find. Tag it with hashtags about cheating and betrayal." It was perfect. Public enough to humiliate Marcus, but framed as helping other women rather than just revenge. And the timing? I asked. Sarah checked her phone. Today's Thursday. Marcus works late on Thursdays, right? Which means he's probably with Jessica. Usually, yes. Perfect. We send the messages to Rachel and Natalie now. They'll probably want to meet to compare notes. Then, Emma posts the social media evidence tonight while Marcus is with Jessica. Jessica will see it immediately, Michael added. She monitors social media constantly. She'll probably call or text Marcus while he's with her. I imagined the scene. Marcus getting frantic messages from 3 different women, all demanding explanations, while he was sitting across from Jessica trying to maintain the illusion that she was the only one. What if he tries to deny everything? I asked. He can't, Michael said simply. I have video of him with each woman. Timestamps, locations, credit card receipts. He's been sloppy because he never thought anyone was watching. Sarah squeezed my hand. Are you ready for this, Emma? Once we start, there's no going back. I thought about the anniversary dinner growing cold on the table. The bracelet I'd wanted that was now on another woman's wrist. The 3 years I'd spent building a life with someone who was building multiple lives behind my back. Send the messages, I said. The first response came within an hour. Rachel Morrison called the number Michael had found for her. Is this about Marcus Williams? She asked when I answered. Her voice was shaky. Yes. I can't believe this. We've been seeing each other for months. He told me he was getting out of a long-term relationship, that it was complicated but almost over. Classic Marcus, always the victim of circumstances beyond his control. How long? I asked. 4 months. We met at the gym. He was so sweet, so attentive. He said his ex was emotionally distant and didn't understand him. I almost laughed. Emotionally distant. The man who'd been lying to me for 8 months was calling me emotionally distant. Rachel, I'm sorry. I know how this feels. Are you the girlfriend? Yes, for 3 years. We lived together. Silence, then. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. He said you guys were broken up but still living together until the lease ended. Another lie. So many lies I'd lost count. It's not your fault, I said, and I meant it. He's been lying to all of us. All of us? I told her about Jessica and Natalie. By the end of the call, Rachel was crying. What do we do? She asked. We make sure he can't do this to anyone else. Natalie's response came via text an hour later. I need to talk to you. Can we meet? We arranged to meet at a coffee shop downtown. Natalie turned out to be a beautiful woman, in her early 30s, with kind eyes and a shell-shocked expression. 6 months, she said without preamble. He told me he was divorced, but having trouble with his ex-wife. Said she was making things difficult. That's why we could only meet on weekends. Let me guess, she was emotionally manipulative and didn't understand his dreams? Natalie's mouth fell open. How did you know? Same story he told Rachel. Probably the same one he's telling Jessica. We spent an hour comparing notes. The same lines, the same excuses, the same promises. Marcus had turned lying into an art form. I feel so stupid, Natalie said. Don't. He's very good at this. I lived with him for 2 years and never suspected anything. What are you going to do? I told her about the social media plan. Natalie listened with growing anger. I want to help, she said. What can I do? Be ready to comment on my post tonight. Share your story. Let people know this isn't just one scorned girlfriend making accusations. By 6 p.m, everything was in place. Rachel had agreed to participate. Natalie was standing by. Michael had created a burner Instagram account to document everything as it unfolded. At 7:15, Marcus texted his usual lie. Working late again. Client dinner ran long. Don't wait up. At 7:30, Jessica posted an Instagram story from Luminous Restaurant. Date night at our special place? Perfect. I took a deep breath and hit publish on the post that would change everything. Ladies, if your man works late every Thursday, takes weekend business trips to romantic destinations, and buys jewellery that never makes it home to you, check his credit card statements. You might discover he's living multiple lives. Here's what 3 years of business dinners actually bought. #check, your man #. Trust your gut #. Cheating, husband #. Gaslighting exposed. The attached photos showed credit card statements with Marcus's name, hotel receipts, restaurant bills for two, and screenshots of his emails with Jessica. Within minutes, the comments started rolling in. Rachel, I can confirm this. Marcus Williams told me he was single. Ladies, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Natalie, same man, same lies. 6 months of my life wasted on a man who was juggling multiple relationships. Then, strangers started chiming in with their own stories. Women who'd been through similar situations, offering support and sharing warnings about other cheating men they'd discovered. My phone started buzzing with notifications, but I ignored them all, except the one I was waiting for. At 8:47 p.m., Jessica called. Emma? Her voice was high and strained. Yes? We need to talk. I think we do. Can you meet me? I'm not at dinner anymore. I could hear traffic in the background. She had left the restaurant. Where's Marcus? I don't know. I left him there. I need to understand what's happening. 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from the woman who'd been sleeping with my boyfriend. She looked nothing like the confident, polished woman from her Instagram photos. Her makeup was smeared, her hair dishevelled, her hands shaking as she clutched a coffee cup. Is it true? She asked. All of it? Yes. The emails you posted, those are real. Every single one. Jessica closed her eyes. He told me you guys were roommates, that the relationship had been over for a year, but you couldn't afford to live separately yet. He said you knew about us and were okay with it. Another lie, the most creative one yet. Jessica, we had anniversary dinner planned 3 nights ago. He told me he was stuck in traffic while he was having dinner with you. She flinched. Oh, God, I'm such an idiot. No, you're not. He's just very good at lying. The bracelet, she whispered, touching her wrist. He said he bought it because it reminded him of me, but you posted a screenshot of you sending him that picture. I sent it 3 weeks ago for my birthday wish list. The irony hung in the air between us. He'd bought her a gift I'd picked out for myself. What's he saying now? I asked. Jessica pulled out her phone. The screen was filled with missed calls and text messages from Marcus. He's been calling non-stop since I left the restaurant. The text started normal, asking where I went, if I was okay. Then they got... She scrolled through them. Angry. He's saying you're lying, that you faked the evidence, that you're trying to destroy his life because you can't accept that he doesn't love you anymore. Classic Marcus. When cornered, attack. Are you going to see him again, I asked. Jessica shook her head. I can't. I mean, even if everything he said about you was true, which obviously isn't, he still lied to me for weeks. And there are other women too, at least 2 others that we know of. God. She buried her face in her hands. I'm so sorry, Emma. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm so sorry. I know you are. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Jessica looked up with something like determination in her eyes. What can I do? To help expose him, I mean. He needs to face consequences for this. I smiled for the first time in days. Funny you should ask. I have some ideas. And suddenly, I wasn't facing this alone anymore. Rachel, Natalie, and now even Jessica, all of us united by Marcus's betrayal, all of us ready to make sure he never hurt another woman the way he'd hurt us. Marcus thought he was playing chess while we played checkers. He was about to discover he'd been wrong about that too. By 10 p.m, my post had over 500 shares and 200 comments. Women from across the city were sharing their own stories, tagging friends to warn them, and offering support. It had taken on a life of its own, but Marcus still hadn't come home. I was sitting on the couch with a glass of wine, watching the notifications explode on my phone when the front door finally opened. He stood in the doorway, his face a mask of controlled fury. We need to talk, he said, his voice deadly quiet. Do we? I didn't look up from my phone. I think your evening schedule is pretty full these days. He crossed the room in 3 quick strides and snatched the phone from my hands. What the hell is this? He waved it at me, showing my Instagram post. This is insane, Emma. This is defamation. I could sue you for this. I looked at him calmly. For posting your own credit card statements, for sharing emails you actually sent. Which part is defamatory, Marcus? His jaw worked soundlessly for a moment. Then, you hacked my email. That's illegal. I used the password you gave me, the one you said you wanted me to have because you didn't want any secrets between us. I tilted my head. Remember that conversation? Or do you lie so much now that you can't keep track? I never meant for you to... To what? Find out the truth? He began pacing, running his hands through his hair. You don't understand. It's not what it looks like. I almost laughed. Marcus, I watched you hold hands with Jessica 3 days ago. I have video of you entering her apartment with a key. There are hotel receipts spanning 8 months. What exactly am I misunderstanding? Jessica is... It's complicated. She's going through a hard time and I was trying to help by sleeping with her. We're not sleeping together. The lie was so absurd, so desperate that I did laugh then. Marcus, stop. Just stop. I've talked to Jessica and Rachel and Natalie. It's over. His face went white. You talked to them? All of them. Turns out they're lovely women who deserve much better than being lied to by a man-child who thinks he can have whatever he wants without consequences. Marcus sank onto the chair across from me, suddenly looking older than his 31 years. Emma, listen to me. I know how this looks, but nothing. I stood up, surprised by how steady I felt. I'm done listening to you lie. I'm done making excuses for you. I'm done pretending that your behaviour is somehow my fault. I never said it was your fault. Didn't you? When you told Jessica I was exceptionally distant? When you told Rachel I didn't understand you? When you told Natalie I was a manipulative ex-wife? I watched him flinch with each revelation. Yes, Marcus, they compared notes. He buried his face in his hands. Emma, please. I know I made mistakes. Mistakes? My voice rose. Cheating on me with 3 different women for 8 months isn't a mistake. It's a choice. Multiple choices. Hundreds of choices to lie to me every single day. I was confused. I felt trapped. Our relationship had gotten stale and... So you decided to fix it by finding other women instead of talking to me. I tried to talk to you, but you were always so content, so satisfied with our boring routine. I felt like I was suffocating. There it was. His truth, finally. I was boring. I was satisfied with too little. I was the problem. So instead of breaking up with me like an adult, you decided to keep me as your safety net while you explored your options. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Marcus? Explain it to me. Help me understand how a man tells 3 different women he loves them while living with a 4th. He looked up then, and for a moment I saw something that might have been genuine remorse in his eyes. I don't know, he whispered. I don't know how it got so out of hand. It started small, just talking to other women, feeling attractive again. And then one thing led to another, and suddenly I was in too deep to figure out how to stop. You stop by telling the truth. I was scared. I knew if I told you I'd lose you, and I didn't want to lose you, Emma. You're home to me. The words that would have melted my heart a week ago now felt like ashes. I was home to you while Jessica was excitement, while Rachel was passion, while Natalie was escape. I shook my head. That's not love, Marcus. That's selfishness. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. A text from Sarah. How's it going? Need backup? Marcus saw the screen. Is that your attack dog best friend? The one who's been filling your head with poison? Sarah didn't fill my head with anything. Your own actions did that. She convinced you to post that public humiliation. That's not like you, Emma. You're not vindictive. He was right about one thing. It wasn't like the old me. The old me would have confronted him privately, accepted his excuses, maybe even blamed herself for not being enough to keep him faithful. But the old me was gone. You're right, I said. I'm not vindictive, but I'm also not a doormat anymore. The next morning, Marcus tried a different approach. He brought me coffee in bed the way he used to do on lazy Saturday mornings when we were happy. Emma, he said softly, sitting on the edge of the bed, I've been thinking all night. About us. About what I've done. I want to fight for this. I sat up, accepting the coffee but keeping distance between us. Fight for what? Our relationship, our future. I know I screwed up massively, but I love you. I've always loved you. Everything else was just noise. Noise? I stared at him. 8 months of relationships with other women was noise. They didn't mean anything to me. Not really. You're the one I come home to. You're the one I want to build a life with. It was the speech I dreamed of hearing for 3 years. The commitment, the declaration of love, the promise of a future together. A week ago, it would have been everything I wanted. Now, it just made me sad. Marcus, do you hear yourself right now? What do you mean? You're telling me you want to be with me because I'm safe, because I'm the one you come home to after you're done playing with more exciting women. That's not a love story. That's a convenient story. His face flushed. That's not what I meant. Isn't it? You just said the other women didn't mean anything. So, what does that say about your character? That you can lie to and manipulate people who don't mean anything to you. That you can use their emotions as entertainment. I never thought about it like that. No, you didn't think about it at all. You didn't think about how Jessica would feel when she found out she was just one of 4. You didn't think about how Rachel would feel knowing she was being lied to. You didn't think about how I would feel finding out that my entire life was built on deception. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then, what can I do? To fix this? Nothing, I said simply. There's nothing you can do to fix this. There has to be something. Couples therapy? I could delete all my social media, quit my job if you want me away from Jessica. Marcus, stop. I could go to individual therapy, figure out why I did this. Stop. Emma, please. I'm begging you. Tell me how to fix this. I looked at this man I'd loved for 3 years. This man I'd planned to marry. This man who was now begging me to tell him how to undo 8 months of betrayal. You can't fix this because I don't want you to. The words surprised me as much as they surprised him. I don't want the version of you that needs to be supervised to be faithful. I don't want the version of you that lies as easily as breathing. I don't want the version of you that thinks love means keeping someone as a backup plan while you explore better options. Emma, I don't want to spend the rest of my life wondering if you're really working late or if you're with someone else. I don't want to check your credit card statements every month. I don't want to become a paranoid, suspicious person because I chose to stay with someone who proved he can't be trusted. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. So, that's it? 3 years and you're just done? 3 years, I repeated. 3 years of my life that I spent loving someone who was lying to me. 3 years of building dreams with someone who was building other lives behind my back. Yeah, Marcus, I'm done. He stood up abruptly, anger replacing desperation. Fine. You want to throw away everything we had because I made some mistakes? Because I'm not perfect. Mistakes are forgetting to pick up milk or double booking dinner plans. Having multiple secret relationships isn't a mistake. It's a choice. And the fact that you're still calling it a mistake tells me you don't actually understand what you did wrong. I understand perfectly. I hurt you. I get it. No, you don't get it. You hurt all of us. Jessica thought she was falling in love with someone who was leaving his girlfriend for her. Rachel thought she was dating a recently single man working through a breakup. Natalie thought she was helping a divorced man heal from a difficult marriage. You created entire false realities for all of us. They'll get over it. The casual dismissal was so typical Marcus that I almost smiled. Will they? Will Rachel get over thinking she was crazy for wondering why you only wanted to see her twice a week? Will Natalie get over the trust issues this is going to give her in her next relationship? Will Jessica get over being humiliated in front of her friends and co-workers? Marcus said nothing. Will I get over spending 3 years of my life with someone who is actively deceiving me every single day? Still nothing. The answer is yes, Marcus. We'll all get over it, but we'll get over it without you. By noon, my phone was buzzing constantly. The post had gone viral in our city's social media circles, and local news bloggers were reaching out for interviews. Emma Collins, a woman's voice when I answered an unknown number. This is Janet Morrison from Channel 7 News. We're doing a segment on digital infidelity and social media accountability. Would you be interested in sharing your story? I declined politely, but the calls kept coming. My story had struck a nerve. Women were sharing it with friends, tagging their own cheating exes, using it as a cautionary tale. Sarah arrived at noon with lunch and updates. "It's everywhere," she said, setting down sandwiches from our favourite deli. The local Facebook groups, Twitter, even TikTok. Someone made a video reading your post aloud and it has 50,000 views. That's insane. That's justice. Do you know how many women have messaged me saying they're going to check their own boyfriend's credit cards because of your post? I felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. I'd never wanted to be the poster child for cheating scandals, but if my pain could help other women avoid the same betrayal, maybe there was purpose in it. What about Marcus? "Oh, honey, he's having a day." Sarah pulled out her phone. Jessica posted her own statement this morning. She showed me Jessica's Instagram, a long caption over a black background that read, "Sometimes the most painful lessons teach us the most about ourselves. I recently discovered I was unknowingly participating in someone else's deception. To the other women involved, I'm sorry. To the woman I hurt, thank you for your grace in an impossible situation. To the man who lied to all of us, I hope you get the help you clearly need. Ladies, trust your instincts. If something feels off, investigate. Don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking you're paranoid for asking questions. #trust your gut #sisterhood over everything." "She's handled this with more class than he deserves," I said. Gets better. Rachel posted screenshots of her conversations with Marcus from this morning. He's been trying to convince her that you're his crazy ex who won't accept that the relationship is over. Of course he has, but Rachel's not buying it. She shared the screenshots with the caption, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them." It has 800 likes. What about Natalie? Radio silence from her, but she liked both posts. I think she's processing. Sarah scrolled through more responses. But here's the really good part. Marcus's co-workers are seeing all this. His boss follows Jessica on Instagram. Oh, no. Oh, yes. Apparently there's a morality clause in his contract about behaviour that reflects poorly on the company. Jessica works with several of their clients. I felt a flicker of guilt. I'd wanted Marcus to face consequences, but I hadn't thought about his job. "Don't you dare feel sorry for him," Sarah said, reading my expression. "He created this situation. He's the one who chose to pursue a co-worker while lying to multiple women. These are natural consequences of his choices." She was right, but it was hard to shake the feeling that I'd opened a door I couldn't close. "Emma," Sarah continued gently, "you didn't destroy his life. He did. You just stopped pretending everything was fine." My phone rang, Marcus calling from work. "Emma, you have to help me," he said without preamble. "My boss wants to see me. Jessica's not talking to me, and apparently some clients saw the post because they follow her. You have to tell people this was all a misunderstanding." "Was it a misunderstanding?" "You know what I mean. You have to fix this. I don't have to do anything for you anymore, Marcus. Emma, please, I could lose my job. Maybe you should have thought of that before you decided to pursue a co-worker while lying to your living girlfriend. Don't be vindictive. This isn't like you. You keep saying that. Maybe this is exactly like me and you just never bothered to really know me." I hung up and turned to Sarah. "He wants me to clean up his mess." "Of course he does. Are you going to—" I thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. "No." "Good girl. Now, let's talk about the fun part." "Fun part?" Sarah grinned. "Getting you moved out of here and into your new life." For the first time in a week, I smiled back. "Let's do it." Sarah and I spent the afternoon strategically packing while Marcus was at work, dealing with what I assumed was damage control with his boss. I took only what was truly mine: clothes, books, the few pieces of furniture I'd brought to the relationship. Everything we'd bought together could stay. I didn't want reminders. "What about the ring?" Sarah asked, pointing to the small jewellery box on my dresser. Inside was the promise ring Marcus had given me last Christmas. "Soon," he'd said when he gave it to me. "This is just a placeholder until I can afford the real thing." I picked it up, remembering how my heart had soared that night. How certain I'd been that we were building toward forever. Trash it? Better idea. I slipped it into my pocket. I'll return it to him with the key. By 6 p.m, most of my life was packed into boxes in Sarah's SUV. I was officially homeless, but surprisingly okay about it. Sarah had insisted I stay with her and David until I found my own place. "Freedom looks good on you," she said as we loaded the last box. I caught my reflection in her car window. She was right. Despite everything, I looked lighter somehow, like a weight I hadn't realised I was carrying had been lifted. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Is this Emma? This is Alex Chen, Jessica's older brother. Can we talk?" I showed Sarah, who raised an eyebrow. Plot twist. What do you think he wants? Only one way to find out. I called the number. A man's voice answered immediately. "Emma, thank you for calling back. I'm Alex. Jessica told me everything that happened." "Okay. I wanted to thank you. And to tell you something I think you should know." "What?" "Marcus reached out to me today. He wanted me to convince Jessica to retract her statement. Said you were a vindictive ex making up stories to ruin his life." My stomach dropped. "What did you tell him?" "I told him I'd seen the evidence and that my sister deserved better than being someone's side piece." Alex paused. "But that's not why I'm calling." "Why are you calling?" "Because I know Marcus from before, from college, and you're not his first victim." The world seemed to tilt. "What do you mean?" "My freshman year, there was this girl, Amanda. She was a senior, really sweet, completely in love with her boyfriend of 2 years. Turns out her boyfriend was Marcus, and he was cheating on her with at least 3 other girls, including a professor." I sat down heavily on Sarah's couch. "How do you know this?" "Amanda was my RA's little sister. When everything came out, it destroyed her. She had a complete breakdown, had to leave school for a semester. The whole thing was a mess." "What happened to Marcus?" "Nothing. He transferred to a different school and started fresh. Clean slate." Sarah was watching my face with growing alarm. "What's wrong?" I put the call on speaker. "Alex, this is my friend Sarah. Can you repeat what you just told me?" Alex explained again about Amanda, about the pattern of behaviour that had apparently started in college. "This isn't Marcus making mistakes," I said slowly. "This is who Marcus is." "Exactly. And I thought you should know that in case he tries to convince you this was all some aberration, some phase he's going through." After I hung up, Sarah and I sat in stunned silence. "Emma," Sarah said finally, "this changes everything." "How?" "Because now we know this is a pattern. He's done this before, and if no one stops him, he'll do it again." I thought about the women who'd already reached out through social media, sharing their own stories of being deceived by charming men who seemed too good to be true. How many more Marcuses were out there? How many more women were sitting in apartments right now, completely unaware that their loving boyfriends were living double lives? "What are you thinking?" Sarah asked. "I'm thinking Marcus is about to get home to an empty apartment, and I'm thinking I want to be there when he does." We waited in Sarah's car across from my old building. At 8:30 p.m, Marcus's car pulled into the parking lot. Through the window, I could see him on his phone, probably calling me. When I didn't answer, he jogged toward the building entrance. "You sure about this?" Sarah asked. "I'm sure." I walked into the building and took the elevator to the 3rd floor. The door to our former apartment, was standing open. I could hear Marcus inside calling my name. "Emma, Emma, where are you? Your car's not here, but..." He appeared in the hallway and stopped short when he saw me. "Oh, thank God. I thought... Where were you?" Moving out, his eyes swept over me, taking in my empty hands, my casual clothes, the finality in my voice. "Moving out where? Does it matter?" He pushed past me into the apartment, and I heard him curse when he saw the empty spaces where my furniture had been. "Emma, you can't just leave. We need to talk about this like adults." "We did talk. You decided to lie to me for 8 months instead of having an adult conversation about being unhappy. I made mistakes." "Stop calling them mistakes. The words came out sharper than I intended. I talked to Alex Chen today. Marcus went very still. Who? Jessica's brother. He told me about Amanda. The colour drained from Marcus's face. I don't know what you're talking about. Amanda from college, your girlfriend of 2 years who you cheated on with multiple women, including a professor. Ring any bells? Marcus sat down heavily on the couch. That was different. How? I was young, immature. I didn't know how to handle relationships. You were 22, not 12. And what's your excuse now? Still learning how to be faithful at 31. Emma, please. That was almost 10 years ago. And yet, here we are, with you doing the exact same thing to me that you did to her. Which means, in another 10 years, you'll be doing it to some other woman. Marcus looked up at me with something like desperation. No, I swear, Emma, this was it. My last mistake. I learned my lesson. Your last mistake was getting caught. I pulled the promise ring from my pocket and set it on the coffee table between us, along with my key to the apartment. I'm done, Marcus. I'm done being your safety net while you figure out if there's someone better out there. I'm done being the woman you come home to after you're finished playing with more exciting options. That's not what you were. Then what was I? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, you were supposed to be my forever, but not your only. I never meant for it to happen like this. Like what? You never meant to get caught. I never meant to hurt you. I looked at this man who'd shared my bed for 2 years, who'd met my parents and planned vacations with me, and promised me a future, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no lingering love, just a kind of tired pity. Goodbye, Marcus. I turned to leave, but his voice stopped me. Emma, wait. I looked back. What if I told you there was someone else? Someone who's been interested in you for months? Would that change anything? My blood ran cold. What are you talking about? David Miller, Sarah's husband. He's been asking about you, whether we were serious, whether you were happy. Sarah doesn't know. The accusation hit like a physical blow. You're lying. Am I? Why do you think Sarah was so eager to help you leave me? Why do you think she's been pushing you to be independent, to see your worth? She wants you available for her husband. I stared at him, seeing the calculation in his eyes, the way he was watching my reaction. You're pathetic, I said finally. I'm telling you the truth. No, you're trying to manipulate me. You're trying to destroy the one good thing I have left because you can't stand that I'm walking away from you. Ask Sarah about the night David came home late 3 weeks ago. Ask her what he told her about where he'd been. I felt a flicker of doubt despite myself. 3 weeks ago, Sarah had mentioned David working late, and she'd seemed upset about something. Even if that were true, I said slowly, even if David had feelings for me, which I don't believe, that's not Sarah's fault, and it doesn't change anything about what you did. Doesn't it? Doesn't it make you wonder who you can really trust? This was vintage Marcus. When cornered, attack. When losing, try to take everyone down with him. You know what, Marcus? Maybe David does have feelings for me. Maybe every married man in the city does. Maybe the mailman and the barista and my boss are all secretly in love with me. I stepped closer to him. It still wouldn't justify what you did. It still wouldn't make me take you back. Emma, because here's what you don't understand. I'd rather be alone and wondering who I can trust than be with someone I know I can't. I left Marcus sitting in our empty apartment and walked back to Sarah's car. She took one look at my face and started the engine without asking questions. He said something, didn't he? Yeah. Want to talk about it. I told her about the David accusation. Sarah's hands tightened on the steering wheel. That manipulative piece of shit. So it's not true? Sarah pulled over and turned to face me. David mentioned you exactly once, 3 months ago. He said he hoped you knew how much you were worth because Marcus didn't seem to appreciate you. That's it. No late nights, no secret conversations, no hidden agenda. I felt the last of Marcus's poison drain away. I know. I knew, even as he was saying it, that he was lying. He tried to destroy our friendship because he couldn't stand losing you. Pretty much. What a fucking sociopath. We drove in comfortable silence for a while. Then Sarah asked, "How do you feel?" I considered the question. How did I feel? Exhausted, relieved, sad for the time I'd wasted, but grateful I'd found out before wasting more. "Free," I said finally. "Good, because I have a proposal for you." "Oh, no. What now?" "You know how viral your post went? How many women reached out with their own stories?" "Yeah. What if this didn't end with Marcus? What if we created something bigger? Like what? A website, a resource for women who suspect they're being cheated on, information about how to gather evidence, legal advice, emotional support, a place where women can share their stories and warn others about specific men." The idea was both brilliant and terrifying. "Sarah, that's huge, I know, but think about it. How many women could we help? How many Marcuses could we stop?" I thought about Amanda, the college girlfriend whose life had been derailed by Marcus's betrayal. I thought about Jessica, Rachel, and Natalie, all of whom would carry trust issues into their next relationships. I thought about all the women who'd commented on my post, sharing their own stories of betrayal and gaslighting. "We'd need lawyers," I said slowly. "David's sister is a lawyer. She specializes in digital privacy and defamation law, and funding. I've been looking for a meaningful project to invest in since I left corporate. This could be it." I stared out the window at the city lights, thinking about all the apartments out there where women were probably sitting alone right now, wondering why their boyfriends worked so late, why their credit card statements had charges they didn't recognize, why their guts were telling them something was wrong. "What would we call it?" I asked. Sarah grinned. I was thinking, trust your gut. 3 months later, trustyourgut.com was live. We'd helped 12 women discover infidelity, connected 15 others with legal resources, and built a community of support that spanned 3 states. The website featured anonymous story sharing, a database of warning signs, legal resources, and a carefully moderated forum where women could seek advice and support. Marcus had been fired from his job 2 weeks after I left him. Last I heard, he was working at a smaller firm and dating a 23-year-old who didn't know about his history. Jessica had sent her a link to our website. As for me, I was living in a studio apartment downtown, working part-time on the website and part-time at a non-profit that helped women rebuild their lives after domestic violence. I was dating someone new, a kind, honest man who'd gone through his own betrayal and understood the importance of transparency. But more importantly, I was myself again. The woman who'd existed before Marcus, but stronger, wiser, and absolutely certain of her worth. My phone buzzed with a message from a woman named Claire. "I found your website after my husband's 3rd business trip this month. Used your guide to check his credit cards. You saved me from 3 more years of lies. Thank you." I screenshotted the message and sent it to Sarah with a heart emoji. She texted back immediately. "Another life saved. Think Marcus regrets messing with the wrong woman yet?" I smiled, looking out the window of my own apartment, at my own life that belonged entirely to me. He'd said I was stuck in traffic that night. Turns out I was just on the wrong road. But now I was exactly where I needed to be. Marcus's LinkedIn showed he'd moved to another city, another fresh start. But thanks to our website's anonymous tip system, his new girlfriend had been sent his complete history within a week of their first date. Some roads, I'd learned, led nowhere good, and some traffic jams were actually detours towards something better. I'd finally learned the difference.